And welcome back to the channel, Health No Filter. My name's Tristan Lowe, and I've got with me today Paul Lee. How you doing, Paul?
Yeah, afternoon. Great to meet you, Tristan.
Pleased to meet you, sir. Thanks for coming in. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, you can see in the thumbnail here, I'm holding up this big, expensive looking bit of kit, and Paul's got a mask. So what are these, Paul? What are we doing with these?
So I say to people, this is a bit like the old hairdryer thing that used to be in the 80s when my mum used to go to get her hair done. You stick your hair under a whatever it was.
We're showing our age by knowing this.
Well, absolutely.
I'm afraid that I'm embarrassed to say I know what you mean as well. Yeah, well, they all
I don't know what it's
line.
called,
yeah,
but I remember it well from the 80s. So this piece of equipment here is something that goes over your head to assist with measuring your resting calories.
Right, okay.
And that's something that people use to help them mainly with fat loss. And I say fat loss because weight loss is sort of all the craze and it's what people look at. But I think weight fluctuates so much that it's really not something that's consistent. And when people stand on a scale, standing on the scale, it actually doesn't do anything for you no matter how you do it.
Gotcha.
Because if you are better than you thought you were, you're lighter, then mentally you may let yourself think, oh, I can have an easy day.
We've actually we are jumping the gun because our watchers or listeners are going to think, well, if this goes on their head, then they are back in a hair salon.
Yeah.
So okay, so I'm going to open this up now in front of the camera, and of course it's like Christmas Day, but of course I know what's inside this time around. All right, so I would lie down. Is that right, on my back?
Yeah. So you would go on your massage couch.
Yep.
So you would lie down, pillow behind you, and then this goes over your head, and there's a hose that connects from there to the equipment. And for the first 5 minutes, that's just sampling your ear, and it's going, okay, this is Tristan's breath.
Okay.
Just getting to know it.
So I'd have a big ugly tube coming out of this. It goes into the software. Now, where's the software? Would you keep this on site when you're testing people?
So this comes with me if I'm testing, or if somebody's coming to mine to get tested. Massage couch, mobile, take it wherever I go.
Okay, so I'm lying down. Am I lying down and am I fasted? Have I eaten or hydrated or what?
So this is the thing is, so for what we want to get is an accurate resting calorie number, and things that will influence that are substances such as coffee, alcohol, tea. So yes, you need to abstain from any of those substances for a minimum of 2 hours, but I say to people, look, come fasted for at least 5 hours.
Okay.
And don't have done any long or intensive exercise the day before or heavy lifting, because all of these are factors that influence your resting metabolic rate.
Gotcha.
So most people will come to me early morning. So I will test from 5 in the morning.
Really?
People come to me 5 o'clock. They don't want to wait too long for their coffee. And if somebody's doing a resting calorie test, they will do that first. And if they are also doing a VO2 test, then they will do that after they've done this. So this test...
You've got a mask, sorry to interrupt you, Paul, you've got a mask there as well.
Yeah.
If you hold that closer to the camera. So now that looks to me, if I didn't know, that would be something that you'd see someone who's got sleep apnea or something like that, you know. So is that used in conjunction with this piece of piece of kit?
So this is used on its own for the resting calorie test.
This
is the gold standard. So the canopy, which is what this is called, is the gold standard.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that is the most accurate way to measure someone's calories. You can use the mask to do it as well. There may be a variety of reasons why somebody isn't able to use the canopy. Somebody might be in a wheelchair or something like that.
So that's just like more portable then, or?
So you can put the mask on. And
it seems less evasive. What you've got another piece of equipment.
So this is a strap then that holds it in place.
Gotcha. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll measure it. So there's 4 different mask sizes.
Gotcha.
There's 3 different strap sizes to get a perfect fit for somebody. And what we're really looking to get to is that somebody can put the mask on. We put the strap around them, hold it in place, and there's no air escaping anywhere other than through here. Because what we need to get is that we are seeing all of the oxygen that somebody is consuming and pumping out, and also carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
So from a mobile perspective, if I'm traveling, this is obviously easier to port than
Of course,
sticking that thing on a plane or going to a gym or
Yeah.
whatever, because the testing can be done anywhere. The kit's mobile,
Yeah.
so people can come to me, but I can also test anywhere there's a treadmill or a stationary bike that can be controlled.
Oh, okay. So they're doing a moving VO2 max test.
Correct.
Not static.
No,
Oh,
so
okay.
you are moving.
Yeah.
So the VO2 test is an exercise test,
Yeah.
which can be, and there's a variety of people who come to me. You start at a walk, and there are people who just want to know what's their optimum fat burning zone. And a fat burning zone for most people, unless you are a pretty well adapted athlete, is going to be somewhere between a brisk walk and an easy jog.
Yeah.
So
That'd be someone like me.
Yeah.
I walk at a good fast pace.
yeah,
Okay.
like you know, so you might be pretty well adapted, and your maximum fat burning zone could actually be a reasonable run, if you like.
Yeah.
So I've got people that I've tested like that will do ultra marathons and long distance, and they spend a lot of time training easy.
Yeah.
And when you do that, then you end up with your fat max comes higher up the intensity scale. Whereas if you're less adapted, it's very much towards a walk. So I've people who test from anything from 20 odd to 60, 70 odd, who want to know, okay,
Right.
what's my
Yeah.
fat max zone? And then past that, you have predominantly endurance athletes
Yep.
who want to know, okay, VO2 score is the thing that's the headline, and that's what people will know, but the devil's in the detail.
Yeah.
And one of the big differences about the piece of kit that I invested in versus a lot of the VO2 solutions that are out there is that this equipment measures carbon dioxide as well as oxygen.
Right.
And that's really, really important if you want a full picture. So a VO2 score that just measures oxygen, it's missing some of the equation, because it estimates your calorie consumption and your fats versus carbs,
Right.
rather than being able to determine them accurately.
What's when I mean, okay, so I'm just going to when I give people a reading, we use bioimpedance scales, hands and foot, and it'll give them a resting metabolic rate in kilocalories. Average person, I don't know, 15 to 2,100, 2,200. You know, I'll explain to them, look, you need to actually have a calorific expenditure of exercise, okay, in the burning phase after, as well as a decrease in calories consumed, to give them a 500 calorie a day deficit, including the exercise, which over a given time is what, 3,500 calories a week. And they kind of understand the simple basic math, but as we know, and that takes it through bioimpedance readings through hands and feet. Now, those things they're only accurate as far as I know, body composition testing is done with hydrostatic weighing in water tanks. Now, I've yet to see one. I've seen them on TV and what have you. So, and they are the gold standard in body composition testing. And you mentioned, Paul, that the software and the hardware and your professional services are the gold standard in VO2 max testing. Would a world-class athlete be tested with this equipment?
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, this is used. Real Madrid Football Club use this.
Gotcha.
Endurance athletes use it.
Okay, so you're talking the pinnacle.
Yeah, like this is, and there is even mobile version of this which can sit on your back.
Right.
So you can be out cycling, you could be going around a track.
Course, yeah.
But there's a lot more variables that come into play then, things like wind resistance, environment conditions, pressure, humidity, all that sort of stuff.
This seems more, sorry to interrupt, this seems more, you're the gold standard. This seems far more accurate way of looking at someone's, if you're looking at the basal metabolic rate of calories, this seems more accurate than bioimpedance scales. Because when I first heard about what you did, I thought, well, bioimpedance scales, I can buy those for £50-60 from Boots.
Absolutely.
Obviously, the more expensive ones, generally with the manufacturers, and there's two big manufacturers out there, for scales that you could put in your house or in a personal training centre or a clinic of some description. And we will say to a client, you have to remove the variables. Always do the same equipment on the same surface on the same day, same time of week, to remove the variables. Right, What do you say to a client or a patient to remove variables in your thing? So if someone comes in, you said to them, I need you to be did you say 5 hours maximum?
5 hours as a minimum, but ideally just come in the morning after an overnight fast.
Okay, and someone comes into you, they come in at 5 a.m, 6 a.m. in the morning?
Whatever.
Yeah,
So
okay.
if they want to come earlier, they're more than
Okay, yeah.
Well, I haven't found anyone that wants to come before 6.
Yeah, I see, yeah. Understandable, okay. So, right, now, what I found as well with body composition readings, a client, with the advent of the internet, and probably even worse, social media, a client will go on the internet and go on Google, go on social media, it's fine, it does what it says on the tin, and they'll find another way, or someone else's response, or someone else's answer.
Yeah.
Do you have that with a client or a patient that comes in for VO2 max testing, or basal metabolic rate testing? Do they go and do their research elsewhere?
Yeah, people do, and even within this software, there are 3 different calibrations you can use depending on somebody's composition. So if somebody is a bit overweight, there is one sort of equation to use. So you would use profile A for somebody who's overweight, somebody who's a normal composition, you would use profile B, and somebody who's an athlete, you would use composition C, because if you're overweight, what a lot of people don't realize is that your resting calorie number makes up maybe 65 to 75% of your daily calorie requirements. But as you become more athletic and you are doing more hours of intentional exercise, they will make up a greater portion. But for your average non-athlete, you will have 70% plus is your resting metabolic rate of your daily requirements. So it's the biggest factor, and the most accurate way to get that number right is from putting the mask on and getting your individual number, because the scales where they put the electric pulse through you and measure, one of the challenges with that is depending on how well or underhydrated you are.
That's right.
Its ability to be able to detect fat from muscle can be a bit questionable, and you can take a reading an hour apart or even half an hour apart.
I've done that. I've seen that.
Whoa, bloody hell!
It'll
Okay,
give a
which
different
one's
body
right?
fat reading. As much as like 1 to 1.5% different on the body fat.
Significant.
Less than an hour later, it could actually be within. And I'll say to a client, there's variables. Are your hands bone dry? Are your feet bone dry? Have you been eating throughout the day? Are you hydrated? And again, but I think if generally we try to explain to a client, look, this is a guideline. This isn't the most accurate way of what you've got here. Tell me about why did you get into working in these services? Start from the top.
Yeah, I've always had sport has been a passion. And I've always enjoyed the endurance side of sport, and not only physically how do you get the best out of yourself, but mentally how do you get the best out of yourself. And my wife bought me a VO2 test as a birthday present probably 3-4 years ago, and I loved the science of it.
But you must have known that present was coming.
Yes, I did. Like she sort of said to me, okay, and I gave her 2 or 3 things, and she bought this, and it was a day out testing, and I absolutely loved it, and I could not believe how accurate it was.
Is it we all have toys, don't we? We're men in our 50s, we've grown up with gadgets and toys in health and fitness and what have you, and sports, and I get it. Is it the stats and the numbers that you're into, or the software and the idea?
The numbers, i.e. what makes a difference in your performance come race day, and not just on race day, but in the 20 weeks leading up to race day. Because what happens for a lot of endurance athletes is not knowing where their true zones are, what's your true easy intensity, and what's your true intensity where you push the boundary a little bit.
They can go by feel if they're good athletes, or even we call them weekend warriors. I mean, someone who's training for a half marathon or a marathon, and they've been training anything between 6 months and 18 months, they've got a rate of perceived exertion.
Correct.
Yeah, which does actually at some point become a natural instinct. It becomes and obviously the heart rate's pounding through. They know they're getting to 75-85% of the maximal heart rate. So they have got the experience, a rate of perceived exertion, instinct, and relying on heart rate, sweat, but generally that's nowhere near the accuracy of the equipment that you're using.
And what happens is most endurance athletes can get a pretty decent handle on their top threshold.
Yeah.
They will be somewhere around it.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit too high for most people.
Yeah.
They will go a little bit too hard.
Yeah.
But most people overestimate how easy they need to go.
Gotcha.
So what they believe to be their easy pace is still too hard.
Right. Interesting. Yeah.
So
it's still too hard. What for the body to be
for
optimal.
proper adaptation.
Okay. Yeah.
To move the needle in terms of your ability to use oxygen at a lower intensity, so you can move faster for the same volume of oxygen that's coming in, and to keep people off the physio table.
Yeah.
Because that is one of the biggest issues, is that so many people, like we're coming up to marathon season, you cannot get to see a physio.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we do sports massage therapy at our centre. Generally, we see walkers, runners, golfers, but I think, okay, so, right, wife buys you a gift. Yeah, okay, great. You know, who said romance was dead? She buys you VO2 Max. You know what I mean? You buy her some chocolates and you get that in the back. That's a good deal.
She couldn't buy me a better present.
Yeah, I tell you what, we like that. Okay, so, but you was already into running then?
I was. And in fact, she inspired me to get into running. I was quite. My 20s was a decade where I drank too much. I ate a lot of crap. Uni was a bad influence in a way, but a great experience.
You know, when you say you drank too much, I had a conversation with a guest not too far long ago, a runner as well. Alcohol. Yeah, okay. So you're at university, you're having a great time. What was your study? What did you major in?
Electronics, electrical engineering and electronics.
So real subject, a hard subject. Something where there's no ambiguity.
We're chatting the women up.
Oh, really?
It's a great one. Yeah.
I'm not sure about that, you know. But having said that though, okay, so electronics and engineering, yeah. Tough subjects, crikey, good luck with that. Okay, so you had a good time. You got your degree?
Yes.
Yeah, did you go and do a PhD in anything?
No.
Not that you have to,
no, went into the workplace after that.
Right, and at that point, when you realised you drunk too much, eaten too much, partied too much, and all the other stuff that's going to remain off record, right? Okay, yeah, and actually, I think it's part of the university, or at least educational. It's probably a lot more. I don't know. Things have changed now, though. You know, everything you do is recorded on track. You can't blink now.
In our day, it was.
You could do what you want.
We were anonymous.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what we did. We couldn't even remember the next day, and nobody else did, and that was it.
But nowadays,
there's a record of it everywhere.
That's right. Yeah.
CCTV, telephone, cameras,
social
everything.
media. All right. So okay. What was your body? What was your health and fitness like then?
So by probably 28, I was just over 16 stone.
Wow. What's your height?
5'7".
Yeah, so you were what at least 4, possibly 5 stone overweight at 5'7".
Yeah.
At least 4 stone, 5 stone.
And I was so a 38-inch waist suit got too tight for me. And I think that was sort of the warning. And
that's when you realise
I tried a couple of times, but I moved to London after university. And I ended up in quite an Irish community, every weekend was
drinking,
party scene. Fabulous, great time. But not good for the waistline.
No. Actually, well, you know, probably good for the soul at the time.
Oh,
and it gives
amazing.
you something to
like
look
great
back
memories.
On. Yeah, they are
Absolutely.
great memories. As long as your organs
wouldn't change them.
Don't pack in.
Yes,
you know?
Exactly.
At what point then did you think, right, okay, all right, obviously your 38 waist suit was getting too tight for you, but surely that wasn't the tipping point for you to say, right, enough's enough.
Do you know, when the actual tipping point, it's very, very clear. Came Christmas Day, I was 28, and I'd eaten so much Christmas Day.
Yeah.
I had to loosen the belt
Yeah, okay.
on my trousers, and I remember lying on the floor after dinner.
And you're
Christmas
16
Day,
stone.
yeah, and going, never, ever, ever again will I feel like this.
Yeah, okay.
And that was a defining moment for me. And the next day, I went for, I won't say a run, because it wasn't a run, and it didn't even last 60 seconds.
But to you it was
But
something.
to me, that was progress.
Yeah.
And from there, 60 seconds became 2 minutes, 2 minutes became 5 minutes, and I'm a bit of an addictive, obsessive personality. So then 5 minutes became 10 minutes and so on, and my journey started there.
Yeah. And was you married or with your missus then?
No, I met her the next year.
Oh, when you're in shape.
Yeah, well, no, like interestingly, we both drank to excess and lived life to excess in our 20s.
Yeah.
And we got to that stage of late 20s, 30.
Yeah.
Okay, there's more to life than this.
Well, there is, yeah.
And we both turned around. So, we both, even though we hadn't met at this stage, so we both became vegetarian about roughly the same time. We both gave up alcohol, and we were into, I suppose, mental improvement as well as physical improvement. And we actually met on a seminar. So we were at a self-development seminar.
You picked me to it, yeah. I was going to ask, did you meet AA or something?
Got to meet at that seminar, but it was probably about 6 months later before we became a couple. And
excellent,
the rest is history.
The rest is history.
The rest is
Congratulations
history.
to you, so you're here now in one piece. Yeah.
It's been the best 21 years I could ever have wished for.
So now, what's your good lady's name?
Faith.
So now you and Faith, you've met, you've given it 6 months, you've met again or whatever, you stayed in touch. You're married now, age 51, so you've been 20, how many years? 21?
22 years in May.
Right, and does Faith still run as well?
Yes. So Faith has done 2 Ironmans.
Oh, it's Faith, is it? Not Faith. Sorry, Faith.
Yeah. So
okay.
she's done 2 Ironmans.
Crikey. Full distance?
Yeah. She is, well, like, I'll tell you, when it comes to mental fortitude, Faith has got it in bag. So she's a 3:16 marathon runner.
Okay.
So she's pretty good.
Yeah. What's your strongest event? Strongest discipline?
Swimming. Like,
really?
She was a really good younger age swimmer.
Right.
Now, don't quote me as exactly, but I think like she would be in the paper every week and she had trophies and everything.
Right.
She was a proper swimmer and still can. Like, she swims like a fish, whereas I took up swimming at 40, and I thrash about in the pool, and it's I watch her glide majestically, and I'm struggling.
You've done triathlons as well?
I've done Ironman as well, and Ironman marathon.
And what was your strongest event in that, running?
Running, yes. In fact, so I had a bad injury, probably developed about 5 years ago.
Yeah, what was
that? I had cruciate ligament issues.
Yeah.
It needed
at the front,
an operation.
Your ACL,
it needed he needed to change 2 bits in the knee. He said your running days are done. He said you'll probably you won't be able to run again. You'll never do a marathon.
So you had a knee operation.
Yeah.
Where did you go for that?
Here in
Bromhead.
Lincoln.
In Lincoln. Private hospital or
the private one.
Yeah.
It was through the NHS, but it was done at the private hospital.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to know what you actually had done. Did you have like arthroscopy? Did you have like was it a meniscus damage or something? Or okay.
Off the top
but
of my
did
head.
you say he removed? Did you say he removed something?
He had to take something from somewhere and put it somewhere else to.
Oh, okay. It might have. Okay, so
fix the damage. Like it meant I wasn't running for pretty much 18 months, 2 years.
Really,
but that didn't stop me. I still, even when I couldn't run, I completed a marathon with one of my sisters. So I fast walked it and she ran it.
Okay. But even after knee surgery, to fast walk 26 miles on concrete, it's still an achievement.
I was out within probably 3 or 4 days walking on crutches.
Athlete's denial.
surgery, I was
Yeah.
like, this is not going to beat me.
Yeah. That is, I'm going to guess that's a psychological response rather than a physiological. I know that everything's connected, but that's more you, Paul, than your need.
That's me.
Yeah.
It's like, right.
Yeah.
What? And I asked myself the question, what can I do? It's like, okay, you can't run, but what can you do to keep fit? Because keep fit's important to me.
Of course it is.
And keep
it's systemic.
healthy,
It's everything. Yeah.
It's just there. And so the question was, what can I do? How can I do it? And how do I build myself day by day?
And of course, not factoring in Faith, your wife, she's still training.
Yeah.
And competing, you know. So that kind of compounds it as well. Not only do you know what it's like to be a good athlete, a good endurance athlete, multiple disciplines, you're the closest person to you in your life does it as well, so you can't get away from it.
No, but it inspires you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's like, look, she's still there. She can do it.
Yeah.
I can get back there.
I wonder if that had worked the other way around. Had your wife had any operation, would she have been the same? A good athlete as she is?
You don't know.
Does it differ?
Everyone reacts differently to different circumstances in life, but I've always known, no matter what happens, if I had to crawl, I will crawl.
Yeah.
If that's all I can do.
It's a personality thing. It's a pull
thing. Inbuilt.
Yeah.
Can't switch it off.
It's not your knee. It's not your ankle.
You could take the leg off, and I would find a way.
Yeah, hop up on your good foot. That's what James Brown said. Yeah, that's what they say. When so forward fast now then. You've done triathlons.
Yeah.
Now, just remind me, you had to lose a substantial amount of weight. How much weight did come off you again?
So I was over 16 stone, and I'm 10 stone, maybe 10 stone 1 on a bad day.
Now,
2, yeah. So I lost 6
140 pounds or something. Yeah.
So
Crikey.
over the years, it transforms you.
How long did it
transforms you mentally as well.
Of course it does. Yeah. How long did it take to lose 6 stone?
In the first year, I probably lost 2 stone to 2.5 stone.
Yeah. That immediate weight that has to come off quickly.
There's that sort of exponential curve where you lose a lot.
Yeah,
quickly,
and then it flattens out.
And you then need to readjust and reassess, and how do you go again, and how do you improve, and how do you ensure that there isn't a backward step, because everybody has bad days.
Of course they do.
And the question is, how do you react to bad days?
How do you course correct quickly? When you have a bad day with nutrition, diet, sleep, for some people pharmaceutical dependency, for some people narcotics, for some people all of those. And to course correct from becoming unhealthily overweight to having a good healthy weight and being a good athlete as well, that's not the norm. What you've done is not normal. If anything, it's abnormal, because if we took every person that's 5-6 stone, 5-6 stone overweight, what is that? 54, 60, up to 80 pounds overweight. Most people that are up to 80 pounds overweight don't become good athletes. They don't, let alone lose the weight.
And I was, in my younger years at school in Ireland, I was relatively active, so it was just my 20s where
the golden era.
I fell off the wagon a bit. So at school I participated in football and cycled loads and did loads, but those 20s, they sort of I fell off the wagon.
I recognise that period in people's lives, whether it be from mid to late teens, 20s. Some people, at the moment, you remember in the 80s, in London, New York, and places like that, all your bankers and traders, these guys that were making money, but they're all up to their gills on cocaine. And apparently they still are now. I didn't know that it's still a thing in London. And of course other major cities in the world, certainly the Western world. And it's interesting how an addiction to whether it be alcohol, cigarettes, pharmaceutical dependency, narcotics, some people don't shake it by the time they're 28, 29. It goes on. Let's look at the easiest ones, being smoking and drinking. That goes on to the day they keel over, which could be anything between 60 and 80. A smoker could smoke for 60 years. They don't course correct. But I think weight management, to lose a substantial amount of excess unhealthy body weight, is an achievement. But equally, it can be quite condescending to applaud it always as well, because I always think to myself, what got Mr. Smith or Mrs. Jones to eat their way to and drink their way to obesity.
Yeah.
And when they lose it through, by hook or by crook, through a necessity, immediate necessity, I have to rein myself in as their trainer and not always applaud them, because sometimes it can be seen as like they say, when the pilot lands the plane on the tarmac after a long haul flight, people clap on the plane, don't they? And apparently they find that really condescending. I read about that because that's what he does.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I thought I'd never have thought of that. When people clap,
Yeah.
it was a thing. I don't know if they still do it. They might do it, but when they, you think, well, he's supposed to land the plane on
That's
the tarmac
the
in
job.
one piece. We are supposed to not eat and drink our way to obesity. So why should we applaud ourselves or applaud a friend? But I do, on the same side though, I do understand that the physical, the mental, the emotional, and for some people spiritual, discipline and consistency that goes into losing that much weight and becoming a good athlete is not to be sniffed at.
And it's hard work.
Yeah, it is hard work.
And every year it becomes that little bit harder to maintain it.
Age.
Because, as the age ticks up, metabolic rate slightly slows down. If you look at, you go into a supermarket today, 85% of the foods that are there in front of you that you can pick up do not support fat loss and a healthy lifestyle. So you really have to be very conscious when you walk into temptation as to what aisles do you go down and what you do. And one of the real successes for us is that what we managed to do, and we figured out quite early, is that if the temptation isn't in the house, it's much harder.
That's right.
So we're not saying it never happens.
And
when you go out to dinner or whatever, but if it's harder, we are inherently lazy creatures as humans. And if it's not there, we won't reach for it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But then again, now we are being taken over by not a plague, but an era where you don't even have to leave your seat now. You just get on your phone, you can order your, whatever takeaway, and it's delivered straight to your door and you don't have to think about it.
Some people, I've, as far as I can remember, I've never had a, a Deliveroo or a Just Eat.
I wouldn't even know how to order them.
And yet, certainly since the year leading up to, or the year, the COVID-19, 2020, that has gone through the roof. And I understand, and I've had this with guests and my clients in the past before, I understand before anything else it's a business. They're in the business, these companies are in the business of making money. Fine. I actually do believe in capitalism. As long as no one's deliberately hurt, Okay, I do believe in capitalism to some degree. I do believe that businesses are there to make money for the owners, the workers, the staff, the shareholders. What I don't agree with though, is this deliberate marketing on television, on YouTube, and this is something that I picked up on, I would say, possibly 5, if not 6 years ago. There has been a exponential, if that's the right word, growth in marketing that target ethnic minorities for bad food. Every advert I see on TV nowadays is someone of a different ethnicity than normal, than white English, white European. And I understand what they're doing is to actually, over a space of time, not only do they want another income of revenue by getting different people from different backgrounds and cultures and religions eating their food and buying their junk food and getting hooked on their alcohol, cigarettes and gambling. That's the first thing. But there's another aspect to it as well. And the fact that I can see it, it must mean it must be a thing, because I didn't invent it. Someone else must have seen this. It's actually to, over a space of 10, 20, 30 years, create a cultural shift as well. Because the immediate part of their business is to make more revenue, the bottom line. But the long term, the chronic, is to change cultures. Because if you look at it, if you take a family that's come from Asia, Africa, Latin America, parts of Europe, and they're in England, or they're in America, Canada, USA, Australia, whatever, and you get first, second generation, they are more than likely not going to be hoodwinked into. They've not grown up on it, but they're children who have been brought up in our country that see non-stop marketing and advertising with people that look like them on TV. They are more predisposed to be lazy and buy junk food and alcohol and cigarettes and not exercise. There has been a seismic shift in marketing, and I do understand it. I understand it, but I just don't agree with it.
Totally.
I'm not a father, but if I had, I've got nieces and nephews and godchildren, but I would say to them, don't watch that.
Yeah.
That is deliberately targeted to get you to buy their rubbish and sit at home and Netflix and chill and get pizzas and deliveries delivered to your door so you don't leave the house. And actually, what it does, not only does it affect their body and their mental health, but it changes the culture that ordinarily might not have been like that had they not been subject to that marketing.
And it's that, if you capture the imagination of somebody when they're young and impressionable,
Yeah.
you have them for life.
Excellent. That's what I'm trying. Even better.
And marketers understand this.
Yes, they do.
And we as consumers fall for it generally.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons we fall for it is it becomes familiar.
Yeah.
And you become familiar with it.
Yeah.
And if they get the message into your head often enough, when you have a weak spot, or you think, oh, we just want a takeaway, or whatever it is, or I want a cake or a biscuit or whatever other rubbish it is, the message has got in there.
Yeah.
And without you really consciously being aware of it, I think we're sort of at the stage where we're consciously aware of it.
Yeah, our age bracket as well. I think our age bracket, you're 51, I'm 55. We've come from a different era. Okay. I don't consider
we didn't have this.
No, not in the same way. Granted, in the USA, the Western world, when fructose and high corn syrup was brought into the food, that was a seismic change as well.
That was huge.
But they didn't have social media and the internet then.
There was nothing. But now, like kids, we played. We were outside.
Yeah.
Kids now are on whatever is it. I want to say. Is it PlayStation or Playbox or whatever it is? I don't even know what they're called. But
gamers, they call them gamers.
Kids are on that. They're on social media. Like I see people on things like Snapchat, Insta, whatever, and all of these have adverts every few seconds.
They do, yeah.
And if you want to stop the adverts, there's a revenue source those organisations by you paying to stop the adverts. So
that in itself is a business.
A win-win. That is a huge business.
Yeah, I get it. I think
makes sense.
It's incumbent upon a parent or parents to actually have enough self-awareness, not knowledge, not technical knowledge, not anatomy and physiology background, but at least have some self-awareness. You know, it's incumbent upon the parent as an individual or as a collective to recognise that this is not good for their children. I'm not talking social media. I'm talking the being comfortable and making the habit of eating poorly and not exercising. Often, look, I go by my eye test. We've got these eyes; they're here to help us, aren't they? You know, and if you go by an eye test, I can't walk through Lincoln High Street now or Sheffield or Nottingham now, and there's an extraordinary amount of obesity. Okay, and I'm not talking. I've gone to a particular part of a high street where people that are unhealthy everywhere. It's almost as if it's less normal to be healthy. To be healthy.
It's incredibly difficult. You go to a sporting event, you go to cinema, you go to a concert.
Yeah.
All of the food is rubbish.
But you know that when you go there, no one goes to see a concert or go to the movies to eat healthy. You're going for that. In fact, I'm going to a concert this week, and me and my pals will eat before we go in the venue because we know it's pure rubbish inside there. Okay, so we're getting off here. Let's look at where does this right. So you've now set up your software analysis and hardware analysis business. When did you start the business?
January
this year.
Yeah.
Okay, how long did you plan it for?
Probably since end of October. I realistically got involved. I worked in the corporate world in telecoms for 30 odd years.
Yeah.
The opportunity came up where we sold the business. There was a 2-year exit strategy as part of that. That came in at the back end of last year.
Yeah.
I then had a decision to make. What do I do?
Yeah.
I'm 50. I want to contribute more. I want to do something that gives me fire in my belly again, for want of a better phrase, that I had 30 years ago when I started out in my working career. And I wanted to do something that AI didn't necessarily replace. So
Right.
I could have been, maybe do coaching. I've got various qualifications that I've done through the years, more for my own.
Yeah. Coaching in what?
Triathlon
Yeah.
running,
Yeah.
or nutrition
Yeah.
as well. But I wanted to do something that moves the needle up front.
Okay.
And running plans, all that sort of stuff, you can go on ChatGPT and wherever else these AI models and get a reasonable
Yeah.
approximation.
Yeah.
But the step before that is knowing what's the right intensities for you. And the piece of hardware and software that I have, you physically have to come and get the mask
Yeah,
on.
I
So
like
that's a gold standard.
Yeah, and it's personal.
And it's personal, and it enables me to understand you and take my experience in distance running and distance sports to not only look at a graph and see, okay, this is what the graph is telling me. I can have a conversation with somebody
Yeah.
and know from where they are in their journey where they are likely to be. I can see the trigger points when they're on a treadmill or they're on a stationary bike doing a test.
Mm-hmm.
I can see when somebody moves from what's a comfortable rate of exercise to an intense exercise and where those markers are. And I can show people, and this isn't, when people see data that is their personal data, it's their personal calorie number, it's their personal intensity, this is how hard you're working. People, so far, my experience has been that people take that information much more to heart and are likely to go by it.
I would think just by design, the fact they've come to you for your services and they've got an idea of what of what goes into it, and they come to you, got the readings. Aren't they already halfway there into being someone that's generally interested in it? Or...
And in fact, so most people are interested, but the thing is, we can tell a lot of stuff about what's happening outside us. We don't have a clue what's happening inside us.
Gotcha. Yeah,
and this just gives you that picture.
Yeah.
What you decide to do with that picture is up to you, but you're then making decisions from from knowledge rather than guesswork. And that's the big difference.
I like it.
Because, when you go back to say, okay, you do a resting calorie test with your equipment, and that can say maybe you're somewhere between 1,500 and 2,100 calories, or it probably wouldn't be that far apart, but it might be 200-300 calories apart, 200 or 300 calories a day. Over 365 days. That's a lot of calories. So this is your calorie number, and this is your these are the endurances that you can sustain when you work out. Now, if you follow this and you work at the prescribed intensities, you will improve quicker than any other way. Because a lot of people, and especially endurance athletes, are of the opinion that if you flog yourself, you will improve yourself. If you go hard, you will improve yourself. The reality is, if you go easy most of the time and really go hard for that 5-10% of the time, you will improve.
Combat athletes, jiu-jitsu, they go by that, and some of the Eastern Bloc jiu-jitsu fighters, Roman Greco wrestlers, they work on that. They work on the you train easy and you go to a high intensity, and what that enables the combat athlete to do, it enables them to train more regular, and decreases the chance of injury. But like you said, I used to walk on incline treadmill. I used to walk on an incline treadmill. I don't know, only like a warm up before I do a workout, and I found there was less chance of getting hip pain or knee pain than running on a flat treadmill, than running on a flat. Now, running on a flat, you can run faster for obvious reasons, especially with my long legs. I wasn't running particularly fast compared to a runner, but still a big stride. But I thought, well, I can't do that on a maximum incline on a treadmill. But what I can do, I don't like the stepper. My feet can never fit on the steps. They're never deep enough to fit my feet on them. My feet are always hanging off at the ankle joint. But I do find though, Paul, I prefer outside. I prefer walking brisk walk, hill walks, you get the oxygen in. Yes, treadmills have got their place, and spin bikes and cross trainers and rowers, and they're good aerobic machines, cardiovascular machines. For me though, nothing compares to being outdoors.
It's grounding.
Yeah.
We spend too much time inside.
Yeah.
Generally.
Is there a way of testing with your expertise, equipment and software, giving someone a VO2 Max test or a BMR test if they're swimming?
Yes. But you need the mobile pack.
That's the one you need
to do it. Yeah.
And of course, it's got an IP rating. It's got an ingress protection rating.
Well, you don't. So what happens? The way you do it when it's swimming is at the end of the length, you stick the mask on.
I see.
So you come out of the water straight away.
Yeah.
That's on you for 30 seconds.
Right.
Back in.
Yeah.
Go again. Do your next length. So it's not as an exact science.
Gotcha.
Because you are relying on the person when they're swimming. This is a 6 out of 10, that's a 7 out of 10, and so on. So it's approximations. It's the same for rower, but you see on the treadmill and the bike, they are measured intensities, and the person doing the test is not controlling it.
Gotcha.
So I, as the tester, I'm controlling the environment.
Would you have to get poolside with the equipment? And then, say someone does a length or whatever it is.
If you were doing a swimming.
Right, yeah. I actually, when I studied to be a sports massage therapist, we went through anatomy and physiology training, and then I studied to be a personal trainer. We did the Cooper test in the swimming pool. Yeah. We did the 12-minute swim test.
12 minutes.
And it was all front crawl. I actually had a quadricep tear back in 2008, and of course, some people were doing breaststroke. But when I came back from a quadricep tear that I'd got training, I couldn't do it, so I did front crawl. But what I found, even though I'm built for swimming at my height and big hands and feet, what I found is my heart rate went through the roof doing the Cooper test, because I was trying to swim so fast. I was only doing 1.5 to 2 lengths, and my heart rate was like 90% maximal. I know it was. And so what was happening was people were swimming slower than me, but getting the same time, if not better. Yeah. So I had to teach myself to deliberately swim slower.
Slow it down.
But more consistent.
Slow it down.
I found I was doing one length in one breath, maybe 2 breaths, because I could. But I found, hang on, I need to be doing 6 or 7 breaths.
You mightn't do 22 of those in one breath.
Yeah, it was a quick lesson learned. 12-minute Cooper test in the swimming pool.
You know, water, do they say, is it 800 times more dense than air?
Is that right?
So what we are able to do on land, it's a completely different environment once you're in the water.
Well, you can't compress water either. We can compress air, but when we're going through water, then the water around us, it keeps its density or its entropy, but it can't be compressed. But you know, physics and whatnot is not my major. But I can tell you that the swim test really taught me quickly how cardiovascular fit I was. You know,
and
wasn't.
You find that swimming is one of those sports where it really is counterintuitive, and it's technique. Speed comes later.
Okay, technique first.
Gotta have
and the same on the bike then.
If you're not efficient, the bike you can get away a little bit more. It's more forgiving. And running is probably the most forgiving. You can have sloppy economy and still be a reasonable runner. Yeah,
gotcha. And yet it's the one that's fully weight bearing, impact bearing as well.
It's the most weight bearing, and that's why one of the things I say to people is, look, what is your standard? What can you do? How can you move? What can move the needle for you? And if that's 2 minutes of running, that's 2 minutes of running. People compare themselves to others, whether it's Garmin, whether it's Strava, whether it's socials, whether it's whatever.
Yeah, I see it all the time on social media.
So people run too quick because they're afraid to show on their socials or their Strava, oh bloody hell, why was he running at a 10-minute mile instead of an 8-minute mile? Because a 10-minute mile is the right intensity for that particular
and it's sustainable.
And it's sustainable. And you're less likely to be injured. And the other thing is, you know, on days where you're not feeling great or you're fatigued or whatever, it's much easier to think, could I do a 10-minute walk versus I need to get out and run for 40 minutes and put on my run gear and all that sort of stuff.
And then upload it to socials and
So I say to people, look, what's your standard? What can you do and what can you do consistently? Because consistency wins the day.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I agree.
10 minutes of walking or 15 minutes of walking if you do that consistently, is way better than 1-2 hour run away.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree that. I've learned that. I've learned that in a good way. Sometimes a hard way though. When I used to play basketball, it's a very, very intense sport. It's aerobic, it's anaerobic. There's multi-directional movement. There's power, speed, agility. You know, you're predisposed to injury because of the sheer changes in forces
and fast changes. And
yeah, they are. You know,
changes,
you've got the fast twitch fiber muscles plus slow twitch fiber muscles because you've got to, because basketball is 40 to 48 minutes of up and down, up and down. And again, often, you know, you're playing against people that could be, I mean, when I played, I was 6'4". I could be playing people that were 6'8", and good three, sometimes 42, 50 pounds heavier than me as well. But what I learned in basketball is, because we used to play all the time, and of course between my 20s and early 30s, you don't want to rest because you're peak fitness, not necessarily peak strength, but peak overall fitness to play a sport like that. But the injuries, and it's always knees, lower back, fingers, neck, and so the guys I used to play with, we'd lift weights as well. But what we learned, you know, over a space of time, we would lift weights in the same way that a bodybuilder would do, hypertrophy training, which is actually not good. It's not actually, it doesn't lend itself to a multi-directional sport like basketball. It might make you look good on a Friday night.
And it's that single plane as well.
That's right,
Instead of training the
lateral
multiple planes.
Yeah, the multiple planes. You've got to, you have to actually now it's got its place. Hypertrophy training, you know, the actual the method of forcing enough blood into the muscle, given it repetitions and time under tension to give you an anabolic response to it, you know, with the training and sleep. But generally, it lends itself to essentially looking good, and it's subjective as well. You know, essentially it's a beauty pageant, bodybuilding, you know, for men and some for women. It doesn't lend itself though to multi-directional sports, and that's why when I went to study and I learned more about it, when I took up golf, I realised that compound lifts could actually benefit golf as well, because it's, you know, golf is a multi-joint movement exercise, not in the same way basketball is, but your best players on the PGA Tour now, most of them weight train, and they put compound lifts, squats, deadlifts, back rows, press-ups, pull-ups into their workouts, but equally they've got to work those rotational muscles, those stabilizing muscles. Full circle come round now. If I took up running, I'm not gonna, you know, you know, I'm not gonna, but if I did, yeah, would you, as someone who's experienced in running, that forward movement over a given time, say to me, right, Tristan, you're gonna need to actually train those muscles from left to right, rotational muscles, you're gonna have to train bilateral, unilateral, multi-directional.
And one of the best ways to do it, actual running, is off-road running.
Okay.
So trail running.
Yeah.
Something where you haven't got that flat surface.
Yeah.
So you want variety, and variety in many ways keeps things interesting, because the other thing that happens, people want to lurch from what's the newest, latest. So, but actually what really works is the tried and tested stuff. It's, look, go back to the basics, they work. You can add some sauce when you've got the basics right, but get the basics, layer it on, and then the odd little session, which is okay, pushing your boundaries a little bit.
Do you, or Faith, you're a good lady, do you do any form of strength training or rehab training?
So strength training is something that's really become part of my daily habit, and in fact I will do more strength training than I do cardio training for the last 2 years.
That's interesting. You know, you're an endurance athlete, and you do strength training. You've essentially adopted strength training. You know, it's interesting because when I have a new client come to it, and sometimes it could be a long-term client, I have to explain to them, when you're strength training, you could do enough repetitions of an exercise with enough intensity, with short recovery periods, exclusive of how much weight, where it goes into cardiovascular, where the heart rate becomes so high, they have to stop for breaks because the heart rate, it's not the muscle. They can still use the bicep or the quadricep or the posterior delta, or the back, the shoulders. That's still got some give in it. It's still got some work to do. But it's because their heart rate goes up quickly when they're doing lunges, deadlifts, squats, clean and presses, those big biomechanical moves. So I'll say to them, although you're strength training, there's an element of cardiovascular as well.
There is, and there is even more than there need be for a lot of people, because people don't breathe.
Yeah, that's
people
right.
People forget to breathe.
Yeah, it's
when you're training somebody, one of the key things is like just relax and breathe it out and so on. But For me, when you get to 50, there's a new game in town.
Mm-hmm.
And the new game in town is, how do I not just live longer,
Yeah.
but I can live a fuller life?
Well,
because if
yeah.
you get to 70 and you're in poor health,
Mm-hmm.
and you might live another 20 years,
Yeah.
like these stats these days, I think we must be up near 80 as an average age.
Yeah.
But given what we eat, I think that will eat into that over time. But the new game in town is, it becomes a defensive game.
Yeah.
How do I live a good life, not
Yeah.
just a long life?
Yeah.
And I mean a good life, health-wise.
Quality. Yeah.
And for me, nothing gives you more bang for your buck than strength workout, because we have a tiny little bit of decline every year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And unless we do something about that, that is happening. Whether you want it or like it, it doesn't matter. That's happening.
Yeah.
So the question is, how do you counteract that, and how do you minimize the impact of that, and how do you delay that for long enough? And I was listening to a podcast, I think the other week, that said the rate of decline up to 71, 72 maybe is 1-2% a year. But if you haven't done, if you haven't worked out up to that stage and trained some of the muscle and retained it, then it drops off at something like 5-6% a year.
Yeah,
and that's scary.
It's a crude term, a made-up term, but accelerated decrepency.
Yeah.
We talk about it, and I think to myself, I mean, I was strength training to some degree from the age of 11 in martial arts. You need a degree of strength to train in martial arts. You need a degree of strength to train in basketball, some degree of strength in golf, and then I got into climbing and mountain training. And I found that was strength endurance and also a good head for heights.
Yeah.
What I've learned as well though, Paul, is that if I took a beginner, let's say John is 12 stone, 168 pounds, and Dave is 12 stone, 168 pounds, and they're both 50 years of age, and they had to choose, I chose for them. One, I'll cardiovascular aerobically train him for a year, and the other guy strength training. Everything else being equal, sleep, nutrition, hydration, size, body frame, somatotype, body shape, the person who's done the strength training by the end of the year will be in better condition, musculoskeletal condition.
Yep.
Now, the person who's done aerobic training, we expect them would have a better lung capacity, a better ability to transport and utilise oxygen.
Oxygen uptake.
Yeah, the VO2 Max.
Significant.
It would be almost like chalk and cheese. However, if you took, I think there's somewhere in between to give someone strength training, resistance-based training, but also another day or another appointment or session where they're doing some kind of aerobic training. But not everyone likes to run, swim, row, or cycle. So what I'll do, I'll take that client then, and apart from their warm-up, I'll give them exercises that push the heart rate up high enough so they feel like they've done an aerobic workout.
Yeah, I think everyone should push the heart muscle at least once a week.
Yeah.
Not for long.
Yeah.
But enough.
What would you suggest in terms of their
15 to 25 minutes maximum effort in a week of hard effort.
Yeah.
But going hard. So that could be a HIIT class.
Yeah.
That could be intervals on a bike.
What about hill runs? I mean,
hill, amazing.
Yeah. When I do, if I do a hill run, I am literally, my lungs are exploding.
Yeah. The thing with hill reps is don't make the reps too long.
Okay.
So because some people want to do 4 or 5 minutes and then come back down.
Yeah.
The adaptation is probably there at a minute.
Okay.
And you can walk back down. People go, what? Walk?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
So go full out on the up, walk back down.
Yeah.
Do it again. And that adaptation is good enough for the heart, because you want to adapt without having a too high a cost on the body.
Yeah.
So the rest of the time, strength training, easy cardio if you're doing some cardio. But yes, I definitely believe you need some top end cardio stimulus every week.
You told me you're vegetarian.
Yes.
Where'd you get your protein
Which
from?
my dad was like horrified.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Old school.
We grew up on a
Irishman.
farm.
Yeah.
Dad is like, you need to eat steak. Where do you get your protein
I like your
from?
dad.
He's like, hang on, you're missing it. But so Greek yogurt is a staple in our house, and in fact, if you open the fridge,
it's like a Greek advert.
One of the shelves is literally full of Greek yogurt.
Yeah, I like that.
Eggs.
Yeah, best source of protein. Yeah.
Yeah. So I might eat 6 eggs a day.
Yeah.
3 whites, 3 with yolks.
Why don't you eat all the yolks?
I
do.
So I sort of look to have my fats from different sources.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have too much fats, but I do want them from different sources.
Yeah.
So, I will have nuts, chia seeds, maybe some cheese, maybe, so I like to have multiple sources.
Same.
Rather than have it all coming from one source.
Right, that's interesting, Paul, because you're aware, I'm just going to guess you're aware, that you're eating incomplete protein. So apart from the eggs, the rest of your protein sources are what we call incomplete protein sources. You would need to eat 9 of those, nuts, seeds, pulses, lentils, tofu, separate from the eggs, you eat fish.
No, but we would have tofu, beans, quinoa, pretty much every day.
They're good sources of protein, but they're not complete. The best source of protein for the human body is eggs. After that is red meat.
Yeah.
I eat both of them, steak and eggs. That's what the astronauts used to eat before they took off, But I have my cholesterol levels tested once a year. Do you get yours done?
I had it done probably about 6 weeks ago, not deliberately, but as part of, I think the NHS give you whatever.
What were your readings?
MOT, 5.2 or something.
Okay, so nice healthy low cholesterol,
But the thing is, and I'm no expert on this, but my understanding is that 20% of your cholesterol level is determined by what you ingest.
Yeah.
The rest of it is predominantly determined. The body will regulate itself.
That's right.
Depending. So, I've always been okay as long as I'm not crazy on things. Then I'm okay. So
if they gave you a reading of 5 point some, what did you say? 5?
I think 5.2.
Okay, so there's a split there somewhere. Your HDLs and your LDLs.
Yes.
And because I'll say to a client, if you go and get your cholesterol tested, make sure that when you get it back, and 9 times out of 10 it is now, you need to know what that split is. If they get a reading of 6.5, 7.1, 7.2, which of that is the bad stuff, the LDL, which of it is the good stuff?
And it goes even further than that, because it's not even just what's the LDL, but
the triglycerides.
Whatever LDL is large particles, they don't do any damage.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the small LDL particles
right.
that sort of embed themselves into the arteries, and they can cause damage. So LDLs themselves
I've got a
even
straight
get bad
involved in
name.
that.
It's actually you want what's large LDL versus small LDL, which is the one that really causes the damage.
I think that when I first met you a couple of weeks ago and you came in today, I think from what I understand from your services and your knowledge, is that VO2 and BMR testing at this level, with this science behind it and the numbers behind it, is just as important as cholesterol testing, testosterone level testing. I get mine done once a year, I get my testosterone checked once a year. Although it's interesting how testosterone testing and treatments has gone, no pun intended, has gone through the roof in the last 10 years, and maybe even I could narrow that down, let's say even the last 5-6 years, but certainly from the mid 2020, the 2013, 2014, right up until now, there's places that are opening overnight that specialise in the TRT clinics essentially. Now I get it, it goes towards our genetic makeup, our body's health. It's become a business. Why is it that is all the rage,
because
but what VO2 Max isn't?
We all want quick wins.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So we want quick wins, and you can go to a place like this and you can get testosterone supplemented and so on, and within weeks your levels are up. VO2 testing gives you a long-term sustainable plan. And for me, calories, like the base test as far as calories is concerned. So the calorie test tells you two things. Two main things. So it tells you what's your base number, but more importantly, it tells you what's your percentage of fat burning versus carb burning at rest.
Right. Okay. Yep.
And what that tells me is what's the majority of your diet made up of.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the piece of the needle that you really want to move.
Okay.
So that when somebody comes back for a test in 3 months' time, has their percentage of carbohydrate reliance at rest gone down?
Yeah.
And has their reliance on fats gone up?
That's interesting. It can actually split like that. How often would I need to come to you? Let's say I came to you next week. We did my tests and we identified. I find it hard with my lifestyle, 2, my genetics and my somatotype more. 3, the way I train, the way I eat, and my profession as well. I have to eat a lot of calories compared to someone else who's my body weight, but that could be 5'10" and it sits down all day. Sometimes I eat 5 times a day. On a quiet day, what I call a quiet day, when I physically haven't got the time or I've not made time, the minimum I can get away with is 3 meals a day. But generally it's 4 to 5 meals a day. And I would class it, my last meal was something like a Greek yogurt with nuts and seeds and fruit and a protein scoop in it, something like that. What I'd like to do is I can't stop working. I can't stop. I can stop training, but I shouldn't. How would I get myself to, let's say, 13 stone 6, let's say 190, 182, 186 pounds, something like that. I'm always walking around at 79 kilos. In summer, I go down to about 77 and a half, 78. Winter, 79 to 80. How do I get to 84, 85 kilos with the knowledge from having your test?
So, and this is one of the main reasons to have the test.
I'm the opposite.
People, this is not, when you come for a calorie test, it's not so that you can skimp calories. Because if you skimp calories, if you eat less than your base level, you are in a circle of doom. And that is going to end up in a bad place, because at some stage you will crash and you will eat crap, and then all bets are off as to what happens. So one of the main reasons to come for a test is to figure, what do you actually need? A, to maintain, and B, to bulk or to grow. And for me, I haven't really found anyone or any way who doesn't successfully get to where they want to be without then measuring and tracking for a short period of time at least. So track for 2 to 3 weeks. And that can be a lot of pain for 2 to 3 weeks. But what you find over that 2 to 3 weeks is that you then understand in great detail what are the foods that are in your regular normal diet that will get you to that number, and do you change that one by 5%? Okay, I need to up that by 5%. Can I turn down that saturated fat by 2%, or that trans fat, can I eliminate it? But the other thing that's so important, and I'm trying to find a way, is there a way to measure this easily for people, and I haven't found a way yet, is insulin resistance. Because if you eat regularly, and if you eat foods that raise your insulin level, insulin's going to come in and pull those carbs from the blood system, because the carbs can't stay in the blood system. They either go into the muscles to be used, or they go around your midriff to be stored. And the type of food you eat and the type of calorie you ingest already decides what's going to happen when that goes in you. So the number of times you eat is relevant, and also what goes in first is relevant. And so there are things you can do around even the same meal, how you eat it.
How? What? As in terms of which order?
Which order you eat.
Meat first.
Will make
meat
it.
Then veg. Meat then veg.
Things like that. So the high cost carbs, they want to be the last things that you ingest. So that the other pieces of nutrition that you have put in are limiting the damage.
Interesting. I think I'd like to. I'm going to get myself tested with you. So, right, give me an idea. You get an inquiry. How do your inquiries come to you?
Right now, word of mouth.
Okay.
I'll be, by my own admission, I'm learning Instagram and bits. I haven't a clue, but I've got a wife who knows more than me,
Of
and
course,
she
yeah.
is going to help me try and get the message out there.
Yeah.
So it's been word of mouth, and this time of year, people are coming to me a lot for marathons.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
And people start to panic.
Yeah.
And go, it's 5-7 weeks out.
Right. Okay. So I've made an inquiry. I've called you, emailed you, sent you a message on LinkedIn. Okay. What consultation phase? How long does that take?
To come in?
Yeah.
Or just to
come in and meet you and decide and find out what to do. Does someone come in and get tested on that day?
Yes.
First time?
Yeah.
How long does it take?
So the resting calorie test will take about an hour in total.
Yeah.
The test itself is 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But when someone comes in, the first thing I do is have them lie down for 5 to 10 minutes. Some people get white coat syndrome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Heart rate goes up.
Yeah.
Elevated. Stress is higher.
Mhm.
So that first 5-10 minutes is just have
Relax
a chat, relax them.
Okay.
You will then sit down. I'll take your blood pressure because quite a few people come in with high blood pressure, don't
Yeah.
even know it.
Yeah.
So blood pressure is the first thing I check. We'll then do height and weight, and I'm only interested in weight as a marker, not for anything else.
Okay.
We'll put the mask, or we'll put the canopy on. You lie there for 20 minutes. We'll take the reading, and we'll probably spend 10-15 minutes afterwards doing a quick assessment, and if there's anything I need to follow up afterwards, then I'll schedule a Teams or Zoom for 15-minute follow-up.
Gotcha. Right. What's the cost?
So £55 for a resting calorie test.
Yep.
And £99 for a VO2 test.
Okay, so nearly double for VO2. Okay. What's the biggest uptake? Is it the VO2 or the calorie?
VO2 right now
Yeah.
because it's athlete season.
Yeah.
So yeah, marathon, like in another month's time it'll be IRONMAN, and it'll be back into marathon at the back end of the year.
Okay.
But resting calorie, maybe 25% resting calorie test, 75% VO2.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, so all right, I've come to see you. Give me the readings. Do you give me the readings there and then? Are you email them across, or do you actually do I get like a printed readout? Or?
Yeah. I tend not to there and then. I want to digest it and understand the reading. So, I've gone to have a couple of VO2 tests where you get a reading pretty much there and then.
Right.
But I want to understand the person.
Sure.
And I want to understand what's going to move the needle for that person.
Okay.
And what's the key piece of data that person wants.
Yeah.
Somebody comes to me and they want to know how many calories do I need an hour. Somebody else comes and they want to know what's their threshold level. Somebody else comes to me and wants to know their heart rate zones. Somebody else wants something else. So I try and give 3 or 4. I don't want to give too many pieces of information because the test gives 30-40 statistics, but then it becomes analysis by paralysis.
Okay, yeah.
And you end up doing nothing because it's just overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So what are the 2 or 3 things that are going to move the needle?
Okay.
So if somebody comes to me, I might say, you breathe too frequently, or you don't breathe deep enough, or you are running too fast, because I can tell from the test right through your profile, I can tell you what paces you normally run at.
Right.
And people are blown away by it. They go, what, you can tell from that? I mainly do 9-minute miling. And I'm like, absolutely, it's here.
Right.
So the breath doesn't lie.
Gotcha. Yeah. Interesting. What's right, so we've got, you can't see it on camera now, but we've got your monitor. Is it a monitor you call it? I'll dip down and can I lift it up? Is this the handle?
Yeah, that's it.
So this bit of kit has been hiding throughout the episode here. And who manufactures this then?
So this is an Italian company called Cosmed.
Yeah, okay. It's heavy, so it must be expensive.
It's about 4.5 kilos to 5 kilos. But one of the things I liked about this is that it's mobile.
Yep.
And I can take this to a gym.
Yeah.
I can take it anywhere somebody's got a treadmill, or I can take it anywhere somebody's got a stationary bike. And if somebody wants to do a resting calorie test, I can do that at their home, wherever, it doesn't matter. And in fact, this unit is used in intensive care to figure out how many calories and what to feed somebody who's unconscious or whatever.
Really. So what you can see here then is we have got a specific piece of equipment, hardware, software, that's worked in not just the health and fitness but also the medical science as well.
Yeah.
You know, I always think of that movie Jurassic Park, when the girl picks up the binoculars and he says, "Is that heavy?" Yeah. Well, then it's expensive. Put it back. So like this is. So I'm going to put this down. All right. That's a nice piece of equipment there, then, Paul. I'm actually going to put myself in Paul's capable hands and get him to do the tests on me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to come to it and get it done and share the information that I've got with people that I personally know and clients as well. Right. So what have you got a website up running? Have you got a social media page now or what?
Yeah. So insidemeasurements.com is the webpage.
Insidemeasurements.com. Yeah. Website. Yep.
And Inside Measurements is the Instagram handle as well.
Okay.
I think there's an @ sign or something on
At
front.
Inside Measurements.
At Inside Measurements.
I'll
Don't
click
quote me on that.
Yeah.
But I think that's it.
You have to make sure you got the right page though, 'cause it could take us to another type of business. You know what I mean?
Yes, loads. But
Don't come back to me on that. You know.
Do you know, the name isn't important other than the fact that it's somehow memorable.
Okay.
And I don't want it to. What I wanted was that it stayed in someone's mind for more than 20 seconds.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So, and it is measuring your
inside.
insides.
Yeah, what's
That
going
is
on,
exactly what it's doing.
Yeah.
My wife said to me, it sounds like a tailor or something who measures your trousers.
Yeah.
But I was like, it
Hang
tells
on.
exactly what it does on the tin.
Your 38 waisted trousers.
Exactly right.
Hopefully not. You know something, I've actually still got the same waist size I had when I was in my 30s.
Amazing.
You know, and again, I'm not, and bearing in mind, I'm not malnutritioned. I eat a ton of calories and 90% of it's good as well.
And the reality is you probably have a fast metabolic rate.
Yeah, high muscle mass for my age,
whereas I have come from the opposite environment. I just need to look at food and I can put weight on.
Yeah.
And I've gone through that mental journey of knowing what it's like to feel to be 16 stone.
Yeah.
And going from actually relatively active in my teen years to doing not very much in my 20s to then going back. And my wife did, so she did a half marathon in Hull years ago and she inspired me to get back running. And I was thinking, if she can do it, maybe I can do it.
Yeah, it's interesting that how I've always thought that in relationships, in the home and possibly the workplace as well, if you're surrounded by people, or you surround yourself by people that are healthy and fit, okay, everyone gets injury. And if you're injured, I had the flu a year and a half ago, and at that moment I was unhealthy and unfit. I was so sick for about up to 4 weeks, certainly 2 weeks, really bad, and then I was sick for another 2 weeks after that. It probably drifted into week 5 as well. So at that time, you're not in a good form of health, of homeostasis, you know. So, but generally, you know, other than sports injuries and getting the flu a year and a half ago, other than that, I'm in pretty good shape for a man of my age. But there's always room for improvement. But I try not, Paul, to get obsessed about it.
No.
When you mentioned about you've only got to look at food and remember, and it can trigger something, or you know, people say I've only got to look at weight and I look at food and I put weight on. The same can go for an alcoholic, because I read recently that an alcoholic can still class themselves as an alcoholic a year after sobriety. And the reason being, they know if they're around alcohol again, they could easily go back onto it. So if you've got someone that's gone to Alcoholics Anonymous and they've not touched a drop for 365 days, they can still class themselves as an alcoholic.
The mental shift takes way longer than the physical shift.
Yeah.
The mental shift is what nobody sees, but that's what's going on. And how you talk to yourself and the questions you ask yourself and what goes on between your two ears every day determines how successful or how capable you are of change. We all have the capability to do things, but and it's not even motivation. Motivation gets us started.
Yeah, that's it. It's fine.
But what changes us is habits.
Yeah.
And what do we build? What do we put in place that builds us? And what small wins can we have day by day? Because as we feel better, we will more likely to lean towards that. And the mental game, I can still feel fat.
Okay, interesting.
And I'm talking from, I can still, you know, there are times that I know I'm thin, but I feel fat.
Right. Where do you feel fat? Up here or?
Even, no, physically, it's like, let's say, what year is this? So this is 26. In the year 24, I did a year of endurance, like real endurance. So I did in April, I did a bike ride, which was in Majorca, which was 16,000 feet of climbing, and 195 miles.
16,000 feet?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it feet or meter? Yeah. Which one's more? Is it feet or meter? Yeah.
Feet,
yeah.
That's high.
So about feet, yeah. So this took 12 and a half hours to complete.
Yeah.
And I trained for about 5 months for that. And I ingested crap carbs.
You would do, yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, you would do, yeah.
So, and I could feel myself getting sluggish.
Yeah.
I then went from that to do IRONMAN, which was another 16 weeks of endurance training.
And ingesting a lot of carbohydrates.
And then I went from Ironman to marathon, as you do, to finish the year off. So that was another 9 weeks of carb ingestion. So I spent the whole of 2024, you look at me, and most people would look at me and think,
a fit
what's he on
endurance
about?
athlete, yeah. But you felt...
But I felt sluggish, and I felt overweight.
Yeah, okay.
And it's taken me the majority of 2025 to shake that.
Interesting.
And it's been incredibly hard.
Yeah.
And it's not about just eating clean. Clean isn't enough. It's you also have to look at it's not just calories, it's insulin, it's sleep, it's the whole thing that goes into it. It's stress, everything like that. And I'm only now, maybe 14, 15 months later, getting back to where I was pre-2024.
Excellent. And actually,
so that was a big battle for me.
Yeah, that's interesting. You say that, when you said that, at that time you would have been a competition standard, at least a competition standard endurance athlete with experience as well, and a thin body frame. You look to me like you're built for triathlons, or even climbing.
People look at me and go, "Oh, you're a runner."
Yeah. Well,
and I'm like,
and yet you would feel, it doesn't matter what the scales would say, whether it be body weight, body fat, visceral fat, but you
doesn't
feel,
matter.
And that sensation, that instinct that we've got from taking in too many excess carbohydrates, also poor sleep, and as we know, the body stores body fat. If we get poor sleep, we don't get that good, whatever it is for that person. If I get a good night's sleep, it's 6.5 hours unbroken. To me is good. 7 hours, I'm like King Kong.
Yeah, I wouldn't even get that. We go to bed really early. People cannot believe.
Yeah.
We will be lights out maybe 7:30.
No.
Yeah.
No.
8 o'clock would be a late night.
What?
In our house.
I'm still at work sometimes. I'm doing something wrong.
I'm maybe up by 2:30, certainly 3 o'clock.
Why is that? Because you're going to bed at 7:30.
My brain's wired. Like my best ideas are when nobody else is about.
Yeah.
Faith is up maybe an hour later than me. Maybe
so 3:30.
We're both really early people. We have got earlier as the years have gone on. But I get my exercise done in the morning.
Yeah.
I maybe can get an hour done now, maybe 2 hours or something before somebody comes in for testing.
Yeah.
I feel good before my days even start.
Same,
I can sit down, I can brainstorm ideas, I can have everything done, and my day is won before anyone else's day even starts. And I feel mega good for it. Now, don't get me wrong, come the end of the day,
you're slurring your words.
I am absolutely bushed. I'm done by 6 o'clock. Once you've had evening tea, that's it. It's like, okay, read for half an hour maybe. We actually, you did mention about adverts and things like that a while ago. We made a conscious decision. We went on holiday in September. We went to Crete and we said,
I like Crete.
Right, we are not switching on the telly at all
in the
during
hotel.
the week.
Yeah.
No,
or on your
iPad.
Yeah.
So when we came back, we said no more telly.
Yeah.
We watch a movie at the weekends.
Yeah.
We love Friday nights and Saturday nights.
Yeah.
We'll watch a movie.
Yeah.
But we don't have a telly on.
Excellent. Yeah.
We are not susceptible to these messages that people are trying to.
That's good.
And people look at us and they go, Oh my God, you couldn't have a more boring life.
No, not at all. No, you know something.
But simplicity. There's a peace in simplicity.
There is, and that's not a that's not a sort of a woo-woo or a wishy-washy subject either. I recently unsubscribed from Netflix, and it wasn't anything against Netflix, but it's a distraction, especially coming into spring and summer. I want to spend more time working, exercising indoors, outdoors. I went on a bike ride this morning. I'll do some weight training tomorrow. Then Thursday, I mentioned I'm going to see a concert. So that's my enjoyment time. But generally, I think we'll last as long as we get not perfect. We get good at lots of little things. Not perfect though. You know, it's hard to achieve perfection. And
perfect doesn't exist.
No, and actually,
if you strive for it. It's just such a...
Striving for perfection is a phrase that I wouldn't say it's easily thrown around, but there are elements of perfect, but again, it's in the eye of the beholder as well.
You can have perfect moments.
Yeah, but not.
But it doesn't exist.
No,
it's
good
not a
is all
state
right.
that's consistent.
You mentioned about how you called your business Inside Measurement. Mine is Good Condition. And when I thought of that back in 2009, I think it was, I didn't want to be called Military Boot Camp. I didn't want to be called Tough Guys R Us, because there was a period where every other personal trainer or strength and conditioning coach was called military this,
it's forgettable.
Boot camp that, tough guy this, tough girl that. There was all these kind of big, tough sounding, and I thought, okay, that's short lived, and actually can sometimes give off a wrong impression as well. And that's why I named my business Good Condition. I thought it's clean, it's understandable, it's clean.
And it's memorable.
Not perfect by any stretch, because there's someone that's going to be called Great Condition. You know, what okay.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing.
It is, yeah. And if I knew the answers, I wouldn't be sat now. I'll be sat on a yacht in Crete. Yeah. Crete's one of my favourite islands as well.
Love it.
Big and windy. Big and windy, yeah. Well, that brings me to my final thing then, Paul. Okay, I'm going to ask you 3 questions I ask all my guests. Rapid fire, quick answers. All right. What's your go-to movie?
Movie? Oh my God. I will forget a movie a day after I've watched it. But I like James Bond and I like Bourne.
Right, Sean Connery or the new guy, Daniel Craig?
Sean Connery.
Yeah, same here, yeah. There's no one beats Sean Connery. No. Okay, what's your go-to artist or album?
Album? Oh, I haven't really got an album, but I'm 70s, 80s music. Okay. My wife, she says it's like stepping back into a time warp if she comes into my gym. Yeah. But anything that's got a real good 70s, 80s.
But what's the genre? That's the decade. What's the genre?
It'd be popular music, like stuff that would have been in the charts. I love the Beatles. I love the Beatles.
Okay. All right then.
Yeah, like probably the Beatles is my favourite. But if there was one I've never been to a concert.
Okay.
But if I was going to go to a concert,
go to the Beatles. Yeah. All right. They're just coming out and they're bringing a movie at the cinema about the Beatles.
Oh wow! Right.
And the guy who's made it, I think it's Baz Luhrmann. Who's made it, and he's the guy who made I think he made Moulin Rouge film. I've not seen it, but I know the name. Baz Luhrmann's a big popular director, and he's making a film about the Beatles, and apparently there's going to be 3 different versions of it, or for each one of them's there. So look out for that. Beatles, yeah. Okay, so we've got James Bond, the Beatles, Crete aside. You go tomorrow, you and Faith, 2 weeks, all paid for you. Where are you going to
go? Clearwater in Florida.
Yeah. Been before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just because the beach is so long. And we have romantic memories of it. It's the first holiday we were on, and I get goosebumps even now. Clearwater, the beach is so long.
Yeah. It's in the
lovely. Name. Yeah. And I would go there in a heartbeat.
In an ideal world then, next week you're sat with Faith on a beach in Clearwater, listening to the Beatles, and date night in the evening you're going to watch a 007 film. While eating loads of carbs.
Day doesn't get better than that.
Smashing, Paul. Right, well that's been quite an in-depth conversation. If you weren't testing for VO2 Max and basal metabolic rate as your services and profession, what else would you be doing? Because you've done the electronics and the engineering.
I'd probably be still in comms, in telecoms in some way, shape or form, but I've made the decision.
Yeah, good for you.
Don't chase it, there's never a time when enough is enough if you don't make the conscious decision, and I decided at 50 odd, I want to live a fulfilling life. Whether that life is 1 more year or 40 more years, I want that. I've had, you know, the last 20 odd years of my life have been absolutely amazing.
Excellent. Yeah, it's good to hear that.
More of that.
I qualified in 2008, and I thought I don't just want a job anymore. I want a profession. Now, okay, there's a job for everyone. I have jobs to do in my profession, but I didn't want to be an employee just clocking in and clocking out and looking at the clock, waiting for 5 o'clock on a Friday. I work longer hours now. You know, I work longer hours now working for myself than I did when I was employed, and I take less holiday. But at the end of the year, I always think to myself, the people I've met, the people I've worked with, the people I've trained, the experiences I've had, you know, for me, sitting in an office with a shirt and tie, typing on a computer, just typing and listening on a headset, that's for someone else, you know, and there's a place for that.
Do you know, I don't think what I do is a job.
Okay. Yeah.
I absolutely bloody love it. And if I could test 20, if there was 20 people a day, I would absolutely love it.
I might do the math on that. You'd be driving a nice car, or you might do already. But 20. But again, it's a service, isn't it? It's a business, but it's something you're interested in. You know, so you will have jobs to do in it, but it's not a job.
Yeah.
It's a profession, a service. Is it a lifestyle?
It is in a way, because it consumes me as you know, too much. But I think about it all the time. And I think about how. From, you know, I'll look at, say, people I've tested this morning, I'll be looking at their profiles tonight or maybe early morning, and I'll be thinking, okay, how do I move the needle as best possible for this person? What's the key piece of information to get them into the best place they can be in the shortest period of time for whatever?
I'm sure you'll do it. You know, upon meeting you now twice and listening to your story and your service, I'm sure you're going to do it, Paul. So, okay, we're going to wrap up the episode now. Paul Lee from Inside Measurement, and if you've gone through all this time listening to the episode on Spotify or watched it on YouTube, you've got good endurance. You know, you've got to be a good endurance.
They are the type of person who needs to come see me.
Yeah. It's Tristan Lowe, and the channel's Health No Filter. You can find me on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and all your social media channels. Until the next one, I'll be meeting Paul again because I'm going to get tested myself. And we'll link Paul's links and his socials in the video as well, so you can contact him and use his services. Until the next one, sir, thanks for coming in.
Tristan, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Amazing.
All right, Paul.
Fabulous.
Until the next time. Cheers then.
Thank you.
Bye now.